to Unravel with Natly Denise.
What's up, guys? Sorry that I'm a little bit late. Well, sometimes I'm late. I'm like 30 minutes late, but today, yeah. I was catching up with a good friend of mine, and she was just giving me her testimony, and it was hard to pull away from the phone because she was kind of like she was telling me things that she went through that I'm going through right now. I kind of been fighting silent battles. Nothing is super duper serious. My health is good and intact, thank God. I still have a roof over my head and a bed to sleep on. And but anyway, I've been going through some silent battles, and she's gone through a lot of the same stuff, and I just had a really encouraging conversation with her. So as you would imagine, it was really hard to pull away from that conversation. It's always so refreshing to hear people go through like the same things that you've been through, and who tell you to keep persevering. And I guess that's the Bible verse I'm going to go with tonight, because I was like, I don't want to go through an entire book of Daniel tonight. I just have to be honest with you. I'm perseverance is a good one. I've just been so busy today. I filmed a video, kind of derailing all of the screenshots they've been sharing on all of the social media about the Ukrainians. Let me see. Oh, actually, this is good. We're just going to talk about perseverance through scripture. So I think that's going to be good for me too. I think I need to hear that. I need to hear something on perseverance. I need to remind myself what the word says on perseverance. But anyway, before I get into that, I also, I've been thinking today, because I've been trying to do these rabbit hole videos. And because I've done two in a row, I realized how time consuming it was doing these rabbit hole videos, which for those of you that are familiar with my past work, I used to do these really in-depth digs. Like I would take a subject and just like dig and give you guys like the juice and the tea on everything. And that's how most of you guys found me, actually. I made like these really, really good videos. By the way, they are available on Rumble. Let me actually give you guys the link to that. If you would like to follow that channel, I uploaded all of my original videos onto that platform because I was advised to take them off of YouTube. But anyway, these are the same types of forms that I'm going to try to get into a lot more elaborate. Where is it? Where are my channels? Account overview. My subscription, my channels. Here we go. Natly Denise Productions. Copy. Okay. Let me drop it here down in the thing. That's my Rumble channel. So if you guys are interested in my original work, that's where most of my followers, that's where they found me, because I did these really in-depth broken down videos. So anyway, with that being said, forgot how time consuming it was. So I think I'm going to do like one of those rabbit hole videos per week. And then I'm going to do what I was doing for a while, and that's report on the news as it came, daily headlines. Now, the most recent news that has been covering the headlines is, of course, the Ukrainian propaganda. And so I've been really trying to walk around eggshells on this, because I just know how light we have to tread to tell the truth, right? Like the independent journalists and truthers out there like myself, I consider myself one of the smaller ones, but I still feel like we need to hold really, really tight integrity on how we report things, because again, it is so easy to just go with the narrative, whether it's on the left or the right, and really be concrete in this time. Because again, everything that's out there right now either seems propaganda or misinformation, like not the fact checking type of the misinformation. Like they're really trying to spin this up, and they're protecting Ukraine for whatever reason. And it seems like their feathers are really, really ruffled about Ukraine. And I think we need to keep a pulse on it. So I'm gonna go back to reporting on the daily but I just have to be more careful about what I select. So with that being said, let's go ahead and flip to scripture. We're going to talk about perseverance and how the word talks about perseverance, because I need to hear this. I'm being honest. I have to hear this. Everybody needs to hear it. So this is what the Bible says about perseverance. There's a few verses here. So in Romans 5:3, it says, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance. And so what is perseverance by definition? Perseverance by definition is defined by this. Perseverance. It's defined as persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. So perseverance, how does suffering, how does it produce perseverance? Well, if you suffer, if you're down in a low valley, which, I would consider myself in one of my lowest valleys, and not in all of my life, but yeah, there's something that I'm walking through right now that I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. But suffering produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character. And I'm pretty sure we're going to come across a verse like that. But the suffering, like if you're walking through one of the lowest points, if you're walking through one of the darkest moments in your life, it's like, what more can really get you down if you've already walked through that? You know what I mean? If you've already walked through those hard points, what can really get you down in the future if you've already walked through the trenches and gone through the murky stuff? It builds perseverance. In Romans 5:4, it says perseverance, character, and character, hope. So like I said, perseverance, it develops character, and then from character you develop hope. So what do you need from character? I mean, you can't have a big goal without developing your character for that big goal. And I'm talking to myself, I guess. You can't have a big goal without developing character, because if you achieve, and you've probably seen this with personalities who have, probably achieved success really fast. And you can think of this like, TikTok stars, or, kid stars who have gone viral and they achieve success really, really fast, but then they're too big for their britches, where they don't know how to handle all of the attention or all of the accompanying components and elements of their success, right? Because their character was premature. So perseverance actually builds character, and then character then builds hope. So 2 Thessalonians 1:4 says, therefore, among God's churches, we boast about your perseverance and faith in all the persecutions and trials that you're enduring. Now, this more talks about the perseverance and faith that, by living day by day, you do have to persevere with your faith. But also it comes with persecutions and trials. And, you guys know that, if you're doing something in a good nature, and you are, you're doing something by great intention, and you expect a result that's going to better the community or the environment, with that, Satan knows that you're trying to do that, and he will use anybody who is willing to be used to come against a person. So this is where Satan's puppets, minions, he uses people as puppets to come at you, and you feel the attacks really intense. So those are the trials and persecutions. But also, this is also in reference to the Christian faith as well. And you probably, if you are a Christian and you're listening to this, you have experienced this, that you have been persecuted for your faith. You have been persecuted for believing in something that you don't see, but it's there. You've had this innate compass that has been guiding you, that has been looking out for you, and you have personal testimony as to how this has personally affected your life, and nobody can talk you out of that. You experience that, right? May the Lord, in 2 Thessalonians 3:5, it says, may the Lord direct your hearts into God's love and Christ's perseverance. And then in Hebrews 12:1, it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance and race marked out for us. Let us run with perseverance. So it says we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. So, basically anything that entangles you into a wrong path or that derails you derails you off of God's will for you, throw it off, sever it, get rid of it, run away from it as fast as you can. And I can say that by experience, run away from it as fast as you can and run with perseverance, persevere through it. Go with your persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. You might as well sever all the things that are keeping you away from God's will for your life, because his will and his plan is always perfect, much better than yours, much better than your ideas. It's higher. So why not go with that? Persevere and go down the path he has marked for you. And the path is hard. The path is not easy. The path will have trials. It will have humps. It will have all of these things that will, at one point probably make you quit. When it probably wants to make you quit. Like, this is so hard. I don't know if I can do it. Go through it. Just keep going through it. James 1:3, it says, I love the book of James when it talks about this. The book of James says, because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So this is kind of a repetition of what Romans says. So this is kind of parallel. Because that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Again, what's perseverance? The persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. So persist through it. Persevere through it. Go through the difficulty. Go through the difficulty, finish its work so that you may mature and complete, not lacking anything. So the perseverance you developed by your faith, it's going to help you. It's going to help you mature through what you're going to achieve. Don't lack anything. What did I say earlier? You've seen these people who achieve success so fast, but then either they also fall down so fast, they get entrenched with, things like substance abuse, or they get into trouble, they get too big for their britches. So why not develop character enough and persevere so that way you can carry that weight. You can carry the weight that you develop with what God has for you in store, which is always bigger, but you have to persevere through things. So it says in James 5:11, as you know, we count as blessed we count as blessed those who have persevered. You have heard of Job's perseverance and have seen that the Lord finally brought about. The Lord is full of compassion and mercy. So if you think about Job, you guys know the story of Job. In a nutshell, Job lost everything. Job lost everything. And God allowed this to happen. God talks to Satan, basically asked permission. Hey, can I make this guy's life a living hell? And God was like, you know what? Because they basically made a bet. I bet you that this guy, Satan says, I bet you that this guy is going to turn on you because if I make his life a living hell. And God says, I bet you not, so I'm going to go ahead and allow this. So Satan runs amok, makes Job's life completely miserable. And from there, God blessed Job. At the end of the day, Job lost everything, his house, his family, his everything, even to the point where his wife was like, why don't you just curse God, because he allowed this to happen. And Job did not, he denied that. He was like, no, I'm not going to curse God. I'm going to stand. And even though I'm going through hell, I'm still going to know that God is good at the end of the day. So that's what Job is. That's the story of Job. If you heard Job's perseverance and had seen what the Lord finally brought about, the Lord is full of compassion and mercy. And that's exhibited a lot of times in the Bible. Every single time somebody has to go through this trial, has to go through a hard time. Joseph, for instance, was it in Exodus or Genesis? I think it was in Genesis. Joseph, who literally had to get jailed. He got framed, falsely accused. He had to go to prison. Like, he went through all of that murky stuff, but yet eventually he was seen as worthy by the king of Egypt. And he was put in a position that was almost the same as the king. He was his second in command. He was like the commissioner over all of the land, so much to the point where the whole world knew who Joseph was. But he had to go through a lot of crap in order to get there. So the Bible is very persistent about, people who have to go through trials. They always get blessed when they go through the trial. They always come out better. Always, 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 always. And it's much more than they had before. So that's that I love that reminder. 2 Peter 1:6. And this is biblical. It's not prosperity gospel. That is biblical. Biblical blessing is in the Bible. I know that there's a lot of salty pastors out there, but blessing is biblical. It always happens. 2 Peter 1:6. And it says, and to the knowledge, self-control, and to the self-control, perseverance, and to perseverance, godliness. Oh, and ain't that the goal? And ain't that the goal? So let me repeat that again. And to knowledge, self-control. So knowledge produces self-control. Self-control produces perseverance. And perseverance produces godliness. So if you persevere, I interpret this as if you persevere, you're closer to God if you do it, because you have to lean on God for everything. You know what I mean? You have to lean on God for the light bill, for the internet bill, for the car bill, for the rent. You know what I mean? You have to keep leaning on God. So you are essentially close to God if you persevere, because you're almost forced to lean on God for everything to come about. Revelations 2:2. I know your deeds, your hard work, and your perseverance. I know that you cannot tolerate wicked people, and that you have tested those who claim to be apostles but are not, and have found them false. So I know your deeds, your hard work, and your perseverance. I know you cannot tolerate wicked people. I know you have tested those who claim to be apostles and are not, and have found them false. So this is actually talking to God. I know you, God. I know your deeds, your hard work, and your perseverance. I know that you cannot tolerate wicked people, that you have tested those who claim to be apostles but are not, and have found them false. So eventually, this is even talking about like godly perseverance, godly deeds, godly knowledge. God knows. He knows. He's omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. He knows everything. So people who claim that they're prophets or that they're godly and all these things, God knows their heart at the end of the day. You can't hide from God. Even God perseveres. Revelation 2:19. I know your deeds, your love, your faith, your perseverance, and that you are now doing more than you did at first. All right. So with that being said, I needed to read this on perseverance. This is for me as well. All right. So I'm going to get straight to the trafficking news here. And I'm going to start out with this one because this one's pretty dire. This is from the Telegraph. Now, I have actually seen this. I'm going to get straight to the trafficking news today. The headlines, I'm going to have to sort that out tomorrow. Just kind of discern what to report on, because again, I'm just really trying to keep it. I usually, you guys know that I'm not usually keen to like, oh my gosh, I got to be careful. But I am on certain, with what I say, I have to be careful, but I'm talking about like certain subjects, like I talk about it. But with this war, this military operation, I don't want to make one side look worse than the other when it's not true. You know what I mean? And most of the headlines right now are so pro-Ukraine. So I've got to be able to discern through the headlines. So I need a little bit of time to do this. Oh my gosh, look, Annie Lobert's on. Hey, Annie. Annie Lobert. Sorry, not Lobert. Lobert. Annie Lobert. Guys, by the way, I did a podcast with Annie Lobert's podcast called The Pink Chair. I'm going to have to find the link. I know I have it somewhere, and I will post it in my description after this broadcast. But she kind of asked me about my my testimony and all that. So it's something worth checking out. All right, Annie, I love you. Thank you for checking in. Oh my gosh, that was such a good treat. Thank you. Cool. Okay, so let's get to this. So Roblox, you guys, if you're parents out there, you got to get your kids off of this game. This Roblox looks to be an app from hell. I've already, and I actually need to make a post on my Instagram about this, but there have been many scenes, and we talked about the metaverse as well. Did I talk about that actually? There is some reports coming out now that the metaverse, that kids are actually able to go into virtual strip clubs and brothels. And I know it's a metaverse, but still, like, the developmental stage of your kid's brain, you don't want them in there developing these I guess grooming ideas in a way. Bad. But Roblox, again, let's tap back into that. I have seen many posts where Roblox allows they allow pedofifis into this app, and pedofifis, they know how to talk to your children. They know how to groom them. They know how to basically how to attract them with language. And now we're seeing this manifested. It's one thing when it's already bad enough that they're talking to children on these apps, but this actually took into manifestation. A 13-year-old was kidnapped and taken out of state by a man she met on Roblox app. Georgia. This is in Georgia. A 13-year-old girl from Kansas was located by police after she was taken out of state by a 33-year-old man from Georgia after they met on the children's gaming app Roblox. Clayton County Police said that they arrested Howard Graham, 33, on March 1st after they discovered he had convinced a 13-year-old girl from Topeka, Kansas, to run away from home while chatting on Roblox. He was charged with sex trafficking, kidnapping, and rape, according to authorities. So let's pause there, because whoa, that escalated really quickly. So he met this little girl, this 13-year-old girl, on Roblox. And then it says here that he actually sex trafficked her, raped her, kidnapped her. This is the extent. This is where it ends up. This is why, I hate to sound so puritanical, but I don't really think it's puritanical in this day and age, but you really need to watch what your kids are doing on these phones. Like, I don't care what kind of apps or safeguards or whatever's out there in order for you to have control and transparency to their phone and who they're talking to, but this is what it leads up to if they're, approached by these people. Graham and the teenager met on the app on February 18th, Captain John Ivey said in a news conference on March 2nd. After only 2 days of talking on the app, the man convinced the teenager to run away from home, telling her that he would come to pick her up, police said. On the early morning of February 20th, investigators said the girl snuck out of her house and was picked up by Graham, who then drove her back to Clayton County, Georgia, nearly 900 miles away. Over the next few days, police said that they had sexual intercourse many times. 13 years old. The girl started feeling uneasy after the couple of days and sent a message to her mother through Roblox on February 24th, sharing the address of the Dollar General where she had been taken, Ivy said. We're truly lucky we found this little girl. She was alive, the police captain added during the news conference. I wish people would pay more attention to what their kids are doing. Predators will go on and prey on kids, he added. The gaming app's mission is to bring the world together through play, according to this website. We enable anyone to imagine, create, and have fun with friends as they explore millions of immersive 3D experiences. Yeah, well, Roblox, apparently this is a more happy experience to the predators out there. We are deeply saddened to hear about this case, they say. There is nothing more important to parents, including many parents who work at Roblox, than ensuring that children are safe when they learn and play on or offline. William Nevius, Senior Director of Corporate Communications and Public Affairs at Roblox, said in a statement shared with McClatchy News, Roblox's chat features is incredibly limited and heavily filtered, Nevius told McClatchy. He added that the people can't chat with anyone on the internet, and the chat feature doesn't allow users to share specifics such as location or sexually explicit content. For users under 13, the filters are even stricter and forbid any potentially identifiable personal information, he said. Nevius said from Roblox, seems so difficult for something like this to happen on Roblox. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because I've also seen, I've seen some pretty gritty scenes coming out of Roblox where there's, let's just say, there are reenactments happening on Roblox. So it's not that hard for these perverts to get on here and basically convey what they want to convey. Police said that they tracked down and arrested Graham on March 1st at his job, and he was put into custody. Authorities in Kansas and the FBI will be involved in the continued investigation. Officers said they are currently searching for the man's belongings for further evidence to potentially determine if he targeted other children. It says, or they say, it was quite pleasurable to see the reaction on his face when police arrested Graham, Ivy said in the news conference. The girl has since returned home to Kansas safely. I mean, that was quite a bit. That was quite a bit. I want to see if there's maybe a... Oh, that's not it. If maybe there is the news conference. Here we go. Oh, this is it. This is actually it. Right here. I wonder if there's a news conference.
Message through that same... Investigators say this all started after police said the teen, she told her gaming app.
Because
here we go.
Are doing
this subject got on there and praising these little kids because the parents don't realize, they think they're on there playing with other kids, and they're not. They're playing with people who are preying on their kids. We're extremely lucky we found this young girl, and she was alive.
Now Graham is in the Clayton County Jail facing multiple charges here in Georgia and in Kansas from rape, sex trafficking, and kidnapping. Reporting in Clayton County, Kristen Holloway, Channel 2 Action News.
It's crazy. All right, let's pivot on to the next story. This is coming from 𝘏𝘶𝘮𝘢.com. This is a sting. It's crazy that it's on this. You know, we usually see these type of stories on like local news sites like this, like WSBTV.com, but this is coming from like an alternative news source. But isn't that crazy that there's like an entire sex sting and like a human trafficking sting, and you don't hear about it, and you have to go through other sources? Let me actually see what you guys have to say in the chat. Let me see. The Only Warnley says, I want no part of meta. Yeah, I don't either. Have you guys seen the movie? It was a recent movie. What's it called? Ready Player One. You guys know that movie, Ready Player One? Ready Player One is a movie that portrays an entire like world where real people, they do nothing but spend time in the metaverse. Was that predictive programming? I think so, because I think that's where they want to go. I think eventually they will actually get there. Maybe not now, because it seems to be that a lot of people are like disrupting their plans by exposing the truth and stuff like that. But Ready Player One actually, they actually did make it look like it was the coolest thing to do, and you know, all these things. But anyway. All right, let's pivot on. Again, officers arrest nine during a human trafficking sting in 𝘏𝑗 County. Amid a statewide anti-trafficking operation last month, authorities arrested 9 individuals in San Luis Obispo County for sex offenses. Operation Reclaim and Rebuild took place February 6th through February 12th, with more than 80 federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies and task force participating. The efforts in San Luis Obispo County anti-human trafficking task force led to arrest the 9 suspects over a 3-day span and disrupted criminal trafficking networks, according to the 𝘏𝑗 County District Attorney's Office. Authorities arrested the 9 individuals. Officers also arrested 2 suspects for pimping. Their cases remain active investigations. All right. And I believe that's in California. Yeah, California. All right. This is the same one. Here we go. This is coming from Houston Chronicle. Next story. Stop. Leave me alone. Secret recording shows Precinct 1 deputies call for help over possessive boss acting like my boyfriend. Uh-oh. Again, I'm going to assume this is in Houston, my hometown. Marissa Sanchez walked into Erica Davis's office shortly after lunch on a day in late January 2 years ago, upset. She was having issues with her boss, said Harris County Precinct 1 Chief Deputy Chris Gore, her supervisor in human trafficking squad. She was so stressed that she was dreading coming to work, even though she once loved her job. She was looking elsewhere. A few days before, she broken out in hives. Over 34 minutes, the Precinct 1 Deputy Constable told Davis, the Chief of Staff for Precinct 1 Constable Alan Rosen, that Gore was making her job difficult, describing a boss who was jealous and possessive. It's hard to work when I have a problem with my own boss, she said. The way he talks, it's like, damn, you're acting like you're my boyfriend or something, she said. For a while, I dealt with it, but then it got worse and worse and worse. The transcript, which surfaced late last week in court filings, is the latest salvo in the ongoing civil lawsuit that Sanchez and 4 other current and former precinct employees filed last May against the Precinct 1 Constable's office, Rosen, Gore, and another supervisor, Shane Rigdon. Continued on. A judge ruled Rosen couldn't be personally sued in the case, and the other individual defendants have been dropped from the lawsuit. None could be reached for comment for the story. Their attorney, William Helfand, played down the contents of their new filing, saying it rehashed previous allegations raised in the lawsuit that are without merit. Sounds like a cover-up to me, but that's just my opinion. Nothing speaks louder than the dismissal of all 3 individuals from the lawsuit, he said. They're all accused of wrongdoing. They were all dismissed in the early stages of the lawsuit, and they were dismissed because they didn't do anything wrong. He also questioned the decision by the plaintiff's attorneys to include the transcript in a court filing in the first place. There is no purpose under federal rules to attach the transcript at issue to the motion filed, he said. Well, yeah, but evidence is evidence, right? Like, why would you not provide all the supplemental information? I don't know. That's just my thoughts. Unless it was done to continue efforts to impugn and dedicate the dedicated and professional law enforcement officers who have been dismissed from the lawsuit because none did anything in violation of any law. Davis, who is not, and by the way, just FYI, Texas is a single party state. So meaning that if these alleged victims wanted to record the call, they have every right to do so. And it is not criminal. It's not a criminal thing to do either. In Texas. In Texas, you're allowed to do that. So why would you not include supplemental information to support your case? That's very weird that he'd say you didn't have to do that. Davis, who is not named in the lawsuit, told the Chronicle that the transcript proved her willingness to listen to Sanchez's concerns and help her resolve them. She said that the incident reveals my character and commitment to transparency. I did everything that I could do without receiving a formal complaint, which I asked for multiple times during my conversation, and I definitely stand by my actions, said Davis. Additionally, I immediately informed the chief over the internal affairs after the conversation. Davis went on to challenge Harris County Judge Lina Hidalgo for the Democratic nomination, but was defeated in Tuesday's primary. Lina Hidalgo in Houston, my gosh. Guys, if you're in Houston, wow. I could do an entire video on her. In fact, that's probably a good idea, but she is, just to give you guys, don't disappear on me. Lina Hidalgo is a Harris County judge. She has made a lot of decisions, very heavy duty decisions for Harris County. In a way, she has been more present in a lot of situations more than the mayor. That's pretty scary. A small background on her in a nutshell. She became Harris County judge at the age of 28 without any political experience. She had a internship in Myanmar. There's just a lot to this. There's a lot to this. But there's something sus, I suspect, going on with that. judge. So anyway, that would have been really good if she was defeated, but Houston is so heavily blue, and the elections are another whole other thing. But anyway, I'm going on a tangent here. Rosen, who was first elected in 2012, has previously said he had zero tolerance stance against sexual assault and sexual harassment and would never allow hostile work environments. As an alleged in the lawsuit, he has defended his office, saying internal investigators found no violation of law or policy, but nevertheless moved Gore to a different assignment. Well, if he did nothing wrong, why would you move him? You know? Does that make any sense? Like, if you know you did nothing wrong, like if I did nothing wrong in my job and I knew that, like I would keep doing my work. Why would that make any sense for you to get moved? Does that make sense to you? I don't know. I'm just asking questions here. Sanchez and other plaintiffs alleged sexual harassment, sexual battery, civil rights violations, and retaliation. They claim that Gore picked them for an undercover unit despite the fact that they were inexperienced rookies, and then ordered them to carry out a bachelor party stings. The operations involved setting up surveillance in a hotel room, male and female deputies all undercover pretending to be partygoers. Some of the female deputies posed as prostitutes, potentially enticing sex workers to agree to provide sex for the cash, which in turn leads to arrests, when they try to use those arrests to pressure the sex workers to provide information about their traffickers or pimps. Instead of capturing traffickers, the plaintiffs allege that they were subjected to sexual harassment, unwarranted touching, unwanted kissing, molestation, and sexual ridicule. They contend female deputies were ordered to purchase and wear revealing clothing for these operations, and that Gore kissed and fondled them. The tactic raised eyebrows among veteran vice detectives in other departments. Another employee who worked for the agency as an advocate for victims of human trafficking, who also sued, says she would be ignored, and then fired when she conveyed concerns about the department's vice operations and superiors. Sanchez secretly recorded the conversation with Davis on January 27, 2020, according to her attorney, Bill Ogden. That was more than a year before Sanchez and another Precinct 1 employee sued their bosses. The transcript, a rare look into the department's handling of such matters, details Sanchez's outcry to her bosses about her difficulties working with Gore. The transcript shows Davis asking Sanchez if she wanted to make a complaint but didn't want to be seen as swaying her. Sanchez, 28, had been in the department a little over a year. She was working patrol when Gore approached her and urged her to join the department's human trafficking unit, a squad dedicated to taking down pimps and sex work operations. She said she felt obligated to take the assignment, documents show, even though she loved working patrol. I was good where I was at when he came to me and started bugging me to come to the human trafficking unit, she said. Over the course of the conversations, Sanchez told Davis that Gore was her partner in the job, but taking it a little bit too far, saying, "If I leave him, he gets upset." She said, "He makes it known it bothers him. So I can't fully do my job and learn because I've been in this division for 6 to 7 months. There's a lot of stuff I don't know because he keeps me from doing my job." At points, she described not wanting to go to the bathroom because she might run into Gore. Sanchez repeatedly stressed not wanting to leave Precinct 1. "We want you here," Davis responded, according to the transcript, adding that we wanted Sanchez to feel protected. She told Sanchez that the young deputy was protecting other men and women by coming forward. Sanchez also described a time when a female coworker drove her to pick up her truck. At some point, Gore had the coworker's vehicle towed. Sanchez said, "I feel like that was like he was retaliating because she took me to go get my truck," Sanchez said. She also recalled an incident in which a coworker told her that Gore had been watching her on the precinct's surveillance cameras while she was talking to a male colleague. The coworker said Gore had asked him who Sanchez had been talking to. "I bet he's watching me too," Davis replied. It's unclear whether Davis followed department protocol for handling the allegations. She told Sanchez that she didn't want to lose her to another agency or to make some comp time. And she suggested transferring to another unit for a period of time and returning to the trafficking unit when things had calmed down. "Let's give you a breather. You might feel refreshed for a month or so." After a month or so, employment attorney Mark O'Berdy had sexual harassment cases are common. Defendants must prove severe or pervasive harassment, he said, a high legal bar. They must also show that they reported the harassment through the appropriate channels and their bosses failed to take prompt and remedial action. That's a lot of hoops to get through to win, he said. Plaintiffs definitely win, a small minority of the ones filed. Davis appears to have floated the idea that the transfer back to the patrol, the document shows. Davis and Rigdon, who is also in the meeting, strategized about transferring Sanchez out of the unit, but appear to have been concerned about doing it in such a way that Gore would not retaliate. Sanchez told Davis that she loved working patrol, but didn't want to have to take the assignment where she'd be starting at the bottom with a night shift assignment. And she loved the work she was doing on human trafficking units, she said. Davis suggested Sanchez write a letter describing the situation so she could figure out how to figure out how to maneuver. She compared moving Sanchez off of the human trafficking unit to a different position to how the department would treat an incident on the street where they would bench a deputy or move them off patrol. They said, I want to make this a healthy move, she said, just for a little bit. And that is the end. Wow. That is a very intricate story. Very intricate. How many this is about? Let's just take a listen in.
And you can call and you can threaten us and you can retaliate against us. And I mean, I've already been told that my career in the county has been ruined because I've been blessed to work in this great county and have a career. And I hope that that's not the case. But if it is, I'm always going to stand up for what's right. And I'm always going to fight for people. And I'm always going to fight for people who are exploited. And for such a time as this, we need to end corruption and complicitness in people in power. So thank you so much for all being here. And we will not be silent. We will continue to advocate and we will fight for our rights and others.
Not only does this corruption at Precinct 1 affect victims outside the department, not only does it affect the citizens of Harris County, it affects the women within their own very walls. The policies put in place in this case by Constable Alan Rosen, the people he put in power allowed this horrible atrocity to occur. And the illegality and the misconduct goes all the way to the top. In 2019, Harris County Constable Alan Rosen formed a human trafficking unit. The idea being to treat sex workers not as defendants or suspects, but as victims of larger organizations. The chief of the unit was Chief Chris Gore. And Chief Gore, under Constable Rosen's supervision, engineered a new type of sting, a new type of operation called a bachelor party sting. In a bachelor party sting, under Chief Gore's creation, undercover deputies, the males would pose as the Johns, the buyers, and undercover females would pose as prostitutes. The idea being that when the actual sex worker came in, they would be more likely to agree to sex for a fee, an arrest could be made, interviews could be done, and arrests up the chain could be.
That's re-exploitation. That's like super exploitation. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't, that feels like, I mean, I just see this like as they're really exploiting the sex worker, if that means that, how do I explain this the right way? I know that there are human trafficking stings. The initial idea of a human trafficking sting, and it happens in different ways. Either, you know, there'll be an undercover officer who is a male who will act as a John. They will solicit the activity or the transaction from the sex worker, and the sex worker will then accept the money. Then that constitutes for arrest because then the transaction is made, and so they can sting. Or it could work vice versa, where the undercover officer is a female. She's acting like a sex worker, and she will like station herself at a hotel, and then vice versa. The Johns from the outside will then solicit the sex, make the transaction, give the money to the undercover officer, and then that constitutes for an arrest then. So that's the generic, very, very generic idea. I mean, it's a very generic explanation to how a sting works. So with that in mind, this seems really, really exploitative, you know, like it almost seems like a gang up on the sex workers. And look, at the end of the day, the way that I view it, I feel like there needs to be more remediative measures for sex workers, human trafficking survivors, victims, you know, that need to be rescued. I just feel like the system really turns their eye and attention away from them, and so they get recycled back on the street. A lot of this is cited in the way the Nordic system works. I'm gonna have to actually, of all these ideas, I have so little time, but the Nordic model, I need to write this down. Nordic model. I need to explain that because it's actually there's some components there that actually seem favorable to how we should be treating victims and not criminalizing true victims, true survivors that just want to restart their life. They want a clean slate, because then they get charged and all this. So anyway, with that being said, they get charged and then they have something on their record. So then they can't get jobs. They can't do normal everyday things the way everyday people can do, because now they have something on their record. Now, this is the part that gives more empathy towards them, because a lot of times they're doing this against their will. So this just seems very exploitative of them to create a sting where it would be like a bachelor party, and that bachelor party would then, like, in a way, it's like a honey trap. They would honey trap all of these sex workers in there, or Johns. I think I heard sex workers, and then they would arrest them. I mean, that just seems so sick to me. It's my opinion.
However, Chief Gore was given free rein of this operation. He insisted to all the deputies involved that he be present at all of these stings in an undercover capacity himself. But he also instructed all of his deputies to not include him in any of the police reports. He would ensure on all these ops that liquor and beer were consumed in abundance, and would continually pressure, specifically the women involved, to drink more so that they could loosen up, so that they could start the party.
That is not professional. If there is evidence of there being alcohol on the premises of their sting operations, this should absolutely be investigated. And that enough constitutes, like, so much, I would think. I mean, again, Houston local official, local government, city council is so corrupt. I mean, I'm telling you, there's so much deep corruption in Harris County city officials. I mean, it's amounting. But you heard him that there were so many hoops that they have to go through in order to, like, even file a complaint. And then the legalities prevent them from actually getting justice. But that's enough. Even, like, why would you even have alcohol on the premises of a professional sting? You know what I mean? Like, even that in itself is just, that says a lot. So he would ask these undercover female officers to drink more.
All on the county dime, all on taxpayer paid for operations, and all on county approved operations by Constable Rosen. And as you can imagine, the party did start. This booze-filled sexual environment creates an extreme danger for abuse and misconduct, and that danger was immediately realized when Gore selected who he wanted to work with in these cases. Mostly young Latina deputies with little to no trafficking experience and absolutely no applicable undercover training experience. These women, these brave women, were ordered by their commanding officer that your job in my unit in an undercover capacity is to dress in scandalous clothes, to allow me to kiss you, to allow me to fondle you, essentially to be molested by their commanding officer. That is exactly what happened. And as these operations went on, the focus went more on that and less on anyone who complained was either ignored, rebuffed, ridiculed, in some cases outright fired.
I mean, that's angering. It's completely angering that, you know, they would re-exploit. First of all, like, I mean, talk about the officers, the female officers already, like they were being exploited. But my gosh, I mean, what a slap to the face in the anti-trafficking industry to re-exploit victims like that. That's sick. That's so sick. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you. That is a really mind-blowing story. Honestly, like I heard through the grapevine about this case, but wow, I didn't know it was that extensive. Oh my gosh. NDG says that asshole took advantage of the situation big time, big time, big time. If anybody's in Texas, actually here, let me drop the link to the story. You guys need to share this far and wide. Even if you're not from Texas, if you have family in Texas, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. Grab that link, copy that link, share it, because more people need to know about this. This is absolute corruption from the top down. There should be no tolerance for something like this. I mean, how in your minds, like in what right mind would you say, okay, we're going to create this human trafficking sting where all of us are partying and we're just going to fly trap all these, we're going to honey trap all of these sex workers in here. We're going to arrest them. This is vile. This is horrible. I'm just really disgusted. And this is my hometown. This is in Houston. Oh my gosh. There's corruption within the human trafficking unit. Great. Awesome. All right, guys. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wow, that was a lot of traffic. We just did trafficking news tonight, and we still took up that whole hour. Maybe I should do more of this where I do more trafficking news, maybe just like talk about one article. But I just realized there's just so much trafficking news, and this is not talked about a lot. So anyway, I think I'm going to do this more often, where I talk more often about the trafficking news. Ugh. It's super deep corruption. You guys have a great night. And if you're listening to me in the morning, have a great day. I appreciate all your support. Remember, you can go to natlydenise.com/donate, or you can go to the Daily TrafficK, spelled the Daily TrafficK.com. If you would like to support my work, I am an independent viewer-funded journalist, so I appreciate all your support. Thank you guys so much. I will talk to you guys in tomorrow's episode. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Unravel with Natly Denise. Please give this podcast 5 stars.